Hello, my friends. Based on the last couple of videos that I posted, there's a part of me that wants to kind of bring them together. I'm not totally sure what that's going to look like, but there's just some overlap in them that might be helpful to see what that actually means. So the one about basically catching yourself before you get pulled into the matrix, that's very much about becoming aware of these sensations, this felt sense in the body when something from the outside or from the mind, it's really the same, but we do experience it as different. I do too, but there's a part of me that knows that it is the same. So I kind of want to just throw that in there sometimes. But when there is some kind of an impression, a suggestion, like a hypnotic suggestion, like Joe Goldsmith always calls it. Um, and if we're not standing guard at the door of our consciousness, wherever that is where we will be aware when one of these thoughts, suggestions has entered or is knocking on the door. Here I am. This is my message. This is my suggestion for you today, for now. And for the most part, the door is wide open, so anything and everything comes in, unless we stand guard and say no. No, no, no. Most of the things we will probably say no to, but that's a very important phase, been very important in my life, at least, to find a deeper sense of freedom and not keep being pulled out from that place of freedom and reality. So when we stand door there and we can start catching what wants our attention, because without our attention, it's not going to be fed. If we don't engage with it, it's not going to get its nourishment to keep going, to keep doing what it's doing. And it's going to fade away, starve from starvation. And this is a practice that is super important if you want to really step out of the matrix and become aware of what is actually going on by making it conscious, because this is all happening very, very deeply unconsciously. So the first step is to make it conscious. And that's why I keep sharing these videos. It's like showing everyone, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm seeing. You might be seeing something else, but I'm sharing what I'm seeing and what is helping me to be free from that. And then when we start becoming aware of this suggestion, then of course we also become aware of that part of us that's going to engage in it, like I talked about the other day, and then whoop, then you're gone. You left yourself. And if we don't catch that, if we don't catch the first suggestion coming from the outside, and it's almost always something about fear, fear in any way, shape, or form. That is what the matrix does, and that is why we get engaged. And then something rises up, like it comes here, fear, you need to be afraid, you need to work hard, you need to da 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 in order to survive, or whatever the underlying, it's not something it speaks like loudly like that, but that's the underlying energy that is scary. And that is why we rise out from inside with our energy. And because we leave our true abiding place as I am, as our divinity, then we give that energy to the suggestion, and that's when we're gone, because we didn't catch it when it was at the door. So this part that's arising can catch it, because this is who I am. There's nothing else. But it's been so covered in programming that we think we are the program. We think we are something else than what we really are. So whatever it is that arises, it's our attention, it is our consciousness. And because it's covered with these programmings, it grabs onto this, and then we move further away from ourselves. Of course, we can't move away from ourselves, but we can do it uh, as a thought, as a belief. We hook onto something, and then we experience that because we are in there. It is you, it is me who's in there and having an experience of fear because I went there and I merged with it and I gave my energy to it. So that's why first catching the suggestion and then catching what is arising in you. And this arising could say, nope, not allowed, not interested, be gone, close the door, and go back to who you are. This would be the best thing if you want to be free. But what happens is because it's the same I, it's the same energy of who you are, that can merge with it or could close the door on it. And that's why it's you, it's me, it's nobody else doing this, but we're doing it unconsciously. So we need to make this conscious, if you don't mind me repeating myself. When we have been so deeply programmed. And I know for myself, especially in my days with Joe Goldsmith, I needed to hear the same thing over and over and over. It was like grinding through this cement or something. And it was like there was a little chip that went off, like, oh, but there was still this thick wall, right? And there was a lot to move through. So I do understand repetition is really important. And sometimes I think to myself, like, Pernilla, you just said that, you always say the same. It's like, yeah, that seems to be what we all need to hear. And as I keep speaking it myself, that helps me deepen and see it more. So once we liberate this I am presence, and yes, it's always free, but we need to realize that, right? As long as we haven't realized it, it does not do us any good just to know it's like, yeah, I'm free, I'm liberated. And here you are, lost in the matrix. So when we can stay present here, and use our consciousness, our presence for something other than getting lost and leaving ourselves, now we can focus on the field, the I am presence, the field. And I talked about Mother Earth yesterday on Mother Earth's Day. And because it's something that's shifting in me, and it felt like these two really go hand in hand. Because when I go into nature, I'm somehow more focused now because something is shifting in me. Something seems to be opening up, part of the veil that's been covering my connection with the earth feels like it's slowly dissolving. So it feels like when I consciously go into nature, and I just open up because now there's something in me now that knows that Mother Earth is supplying everything I will ever need. I'm a little cell in her big body. And there is no way that this little cell would not be fulfilled by the whole. It is simply impossible. It's only possible to have that experience if we ourselves separate ourselves from the whole, from the fullness of the earth or of the divine. I mean, the earth is really, as far as I can see it now, also is, it's a beautiful divine expression, right? And it is here in this dimension because we are in this dimension as physical. And in that, Mother Earth is that fulfillment, that expression of the divine that always fulfills itself. So it's kind of seeing that, the earth is a specifically beautiful expression for us human beings to receive from. So now when I go out in nature, and I'm often in nature every day because I live in nature, it's so beautiful to have access to that. And if you don't have access to it, find a place. There's nature everywhere. So when I go out, I can just remind myself, like, oh yeah, nature. I'm one with nature, and nature fulfills itself. And then something in me drops or relaxes or softens, and then I can really feel the field. This field is not just Mother Earth, but it connects me more with the field, and then I am more in touch with the field. And I can feel the field, and I can feel the oneness with the field. And in that, it cannot be any other way that the field fulfills itself all the time with everything needed, because the field is everything. There's nothing lacking in that. So just by reminding myself of that, it really helps me open up. It's like, oh, that's right. Now I know it deeper. Now I just know deeper that this field fulfills me 24/7. It maintains and sustains itself. It cannot do anything other than that. But here's the trick. When we are identified with the matrix, right? So when this arises and we grab onto the matrix and we leave, then we live in that matrix that tells us you need to be afraid, you don't have enough, you need to do something, you need to be scared, you need to blah, blah, blah. Then we live in a very different world, which is basically that veil or that overlay where we experience the earth differently than it is in reality. We just can't see it, but we can sense it. And the more we sense it, so first we need to get out of the matrix, right? So we have access to that part of us that can sense the matrix, that can sense the field. And when you do that, then this is not even here. It's like, be gone. I want to be here now. I want to merge with the field. And then that little reminder is like, oh, the field fulfills itself as me, as everything and everybody. And now I can feel it. And then staying with that is really, really sweet. It's just, there's something can just relax, because this is reality. This is what is true. But we have forgotten that because we have been programmed with the matrix that tells us otherwise. It tells us we are separate from the earth. And it certainly tells us, that what we've done to Mother Earth is just horrific, based on a belief that we need to take from her and make sure we have enough. No, we just need to tune into the field of the fulfillment of what is. It's everywhere. Mother Earth is here in the same physicality, the same physical way of being that we are. And in that, we work as a whole. It's not just Mother Earth feeding us. We feed Mother Earth just by tuning into her and merging with her. There is like a back and forth of energy that we cannot see, but we might start noticing the fruits of that in our life. But we need to stay connected to the field. And that's why it is very important to say no. Stand guard at the door of your consciousness. Become aware when the matrix suggestions want to pull you out, right? But you have to meet it in order to be pulled out. It cannot pull you out if you're staying here. It's impossible. It can try, and it may try harder. I've experienced that. You know, the more I'm here, like, but I'm steady. Boom. Most of the time. I'm sure I get pulled out at times. But that is the practice, to stay here and not be pulled out anymore. And then if we need to do something in the world, we do it from here. We don't do it based on fear and lack, separation, duality, because then we're just feeding the matrix. We come from inside and we take an action that we may not even know how or why, but there's something in us that knows that this is the right thing to do. Wow, this feels really deep what I'm sharing today. I wasn't sure how it was going to come out, but it feels pretty profound. And I feel there's probably some kind of a transmission in that, that I want to just, invite you to receive that and then take it out. I think nature is a really beautiful place to do it because we have access to it. There isn't all the nonsense. It feels like the field there is so much more pure that it's easier for us to connect with it there. And then the more it becomes natural and second nature, then it's easier to just bring that connection to the field everywhere we go. Okay, so feel free to comment below. I would love to hear how this lands for you. Does it resonate? Is it a little too far out? Or is it just like, oh yeah, of course, maybe you already totally vibe with that, and that's wonderful. I think it's beautiful that we can all do this together. And yeah, I would love to hear from you, and have a blessed day.